Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you could be with us today alongside Jan's with me today.
Hey, Steve. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Jan. From what I understand, you've got a few quick tips you want to share about saving some money.
I do, and I don't know why, but I kind of like make saving money a game, so it makes it kind of fun for me to do it. And by the way, thank you so much for having me here. I really
Hmm.
appreciate you doing that. Thanks a lot,
Sure.
Steve.
You're welcome. Mhm.
All right. So let me tell you something. We need to do a few things that can really save money. Number one, I do believe that a lot of us overtly use way too quickly our shampoos, our household cleaners, our laundry, detergent. Here's a really good rule of thumb. Before we even begin, mark the date or create a label and put it on your product on the day that you open it. Why? This way, you'll have an idea as to how long does it really take to use up that bottle of shampoo or that container of laundry detergent, for example. That's one thing. So mark the date, put a label on it on the day that you open it. Doesn't take but a minute, and it is so worth it. It's just a great idea for keeping your inventory too. But we should also consider and just actually do it. Slow down the rate of how much we use our shampoos, our household cleaning products. If at all possible, if you have a large family, it might be worth your while to make your own laundry detergent. I know we've heard these things before. Why? Because they work and the tips actually work, especially for the newcomer who has not heard this at all before. Don't follow the manufacturer's suggested amount on the bottle. Obviously, the manufacturer wants us to use up their product quickly rather than slowly. You see where I'm going with this? You'll be shocked and amazed to use less and even maybe water it down a bit in another container. But by being observant of those items, you will see yourself holding on to some more cash for other things you might need. Next, spend $25 to jumpstart a grocery stockpile. Now, many times you'll hear me say, take $5, spend $5, little by little. And that's a great thing to do. And I still say it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think for the impatient person that wants to look at their stockpile growing a little bit faster, take that initial jumpstart amount. I said $25, but maybe you want to spend $30. Buy some things that your family loves. I mentioned this before in another video, for example. Let's say your family likes canned chicken, for example, and you want to keep that in your stockpile. You get a great price on it. Put it in your stockpile. You'll have a bunch of money to do that. You may want to devote all of it to canned chicken or to get various things. But with $25 to $30, you're going to jumpstart and visually see your stockpile growing. And guess what? That's going to encourage us to want to do more. Sometimes we need that visual jumpstart. Next, salad nights. Salad nights, let me tell you something. They work out for me so greatly, not just in the summer, but even in the colder months. For example, if I totally know I'm going to be extremely busy that day, I will do a make ahead salad in the morning, put it away. Guess what? I'm saving time, effort, energy, and even money. Why? I'm not requiring an oven. I'm not using my microwave. I'm not cooking. These things cost money, and it also, well, takes time. With a salad, you can make ahead of time, and the flavors marry and taste great. And I even feel like I'm cheating a little bit on this, but I'll also use some paper plates. I'm telling you, that is the simplest night dinner for me. So salad nights are a great time and money saver. Next, buy a box of graham crackers. You could buy the store brand, they're practically the same, but there's a big difference in price. But why am I mentioning graham crackers? One box of graham crackers purchased at the grocery store, guess what? You could get four no bake crusts from that. You know, like when you do like a pudding pie or some other sort of a pie, like a cheesecake, you could make your own crust so easily. You could get like four crusts from one store brand box of graham crackers. I've seen them priced as cheaply as $1.99. So just imagine four pie crusts for 50 cents each. I'm sorry, you can't lose on that. And if you don't use it for pie crust, who doesn't like a nice graham cracker with a glass of milk every once in a while? Good to have, especially if you have company or grandkids coming over. Next, keep plenty of instant puddings. Now that works well with the graham cracker crust. Keep plenty of instant puddings for last minute dessert. You get that phone call, somebody you haven't seen in a long time. They would love to stop over, and they just want to stop by. Make a pot of coffee. Make a quick dessert. You can make one of those pies, or you could just make the pudding itself. They're very inexpensive. Stock them up in your stockpile and they last so long. They are so shelf stable. So buy a couple of sugar free ones too for those folks who really don't want to eat sugar. That way they have an option and you could always double check. Also, I strongly suggest, and this is a bonus tip, also store some frozen whipped topping in your freezer and you will always be ready to present a dessert. Steve, how do you like those for tips?
I think those tips are fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Um, yeah, when I hope I'm coming in. Let's see.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, the tips are great. The graham crackers, you had shown me a little tip about that where you could take, you said whipped topping or something, you could put it in between two crackers and put it in your freezer and make like an ice cream sandwich effect out of it.
Oh, I forgot about that. They are so delicious. I'm glad you
Yeah,
remembered that.
yeah, they are. I haven't done it in a very long time, but it does work. And it works good like in the hotter months if you want a little snack, you want something, not too sweet, but you get a little something sweet out of it. I do agree with what you said about the shampoos and the detergents. No, you do not have to use what the bottle says.
Yeah.
Uh, in fact, when I went to do laundry just a few days ago, I had to wash my comforter. Well, usually, whenever it's something like a big item, I usually use about a cap full of detergent. Well, this time I did not. I only used two-thirds, maybe three-quarters of detergent, right around that. And I still got a pretty good turnout with it. So, no,
Amazing.
so no, you do not, and I repeat, you do not have to use what the manufacturer suggestions are on the back. That's just like you say, to make you use it up to go back and buy more so they can profit on the consumer.
It's
Um,
crazy. It really is. Steve, I might want to add, if you don't mind, one more that I forgot to mention. Don't
mhm,
forget to get a big bottle of vinegar, white, simple vinegar. Why? You can use it for cleaning purposes. It's good to pour a little vinegar down a bathroom, for example. Sometimes that, like, do that overnight and then swish it around the next day. And it cuts down on some of, whatever. Sometimes people, which they shouldn't do it, they throw food down their bathroom bowl, which I've seen people do that, which is like crazy. But it works as a great, great thing to, cuts the grease. And it's just a good thing to have overall. And I love to mix vinegar with Dawn dish detergent, Steve. When you put that together in a bottle, a spray bottle, you would think it's going to be a gloppy mess and it can't get sprayed through. For some reason or another, that vinegar, Steve, it turns the whole thing into a wonderful liquid. I use that. I like to clean out the bathroom, like the tiles and stuff with that. I'm telling you, just the vinegar with, for example, let's say one third, I would say one third of the spray bottle that you use with the Dawn, has to be Dawn. To me, Dawn works the best. One third of the Dawn and the remainder vinegar. That's it. Two ingredients. You could buy that vinegar, big old vinegar. It's so inexpensive, that white
yeah,
vinegar. It's so
mhm.
worth it. Yes, Steve.
Another thing that works really good with vinegar is, and you don't have to go out and buy expensive stuff per what I'm driving at is coffee makers. Ever so often, to get rid of the calcium buildup in coffee makers, because it will happen, you could fill up your reservoir with water, and I would say maybe a quarter, maybe a third of a cup of white vinegar. Pour that in there, and
Yes.
you could run your coffee maker to get those calcium purifications out of there, because it's going to happen over, after brewing coffee after so many amount of times. Um, but what I tend to do is, once I, you know, run it through one full cycle, I'll go back a couple more times with just straight water, to where I can get that vinegary smell out of there. But it does work. You don't have to go and buy Mr. Coffee brand this to clean it, or, you know, let's see what other company makes, or Cuisinart, whatever, to clean that, or Keurig, if you got a Keurig, I know they have one. No, you don't have to go and buy their product. You can just as easily go and buy white vinegar. White vinegar has been around a very long time, and you can easily just clean out your coffee maker with that. I would say do it about it also depends on how much coffee you brew too, but I would say do it about, I don't know, maybe once every other month. I would say get in there and do it to, flush out the system.
That sounds about right. And what I love about the vinegar approach, Steve, is that it's a more natural approach instead of all those heavily laden chemicals, chemicals, chemicals. If we could take a more natural approach to things, it's just all that much better, honestly.
It is. Mhm. Yeah,
Steve, there's so
absolutely.
many tips. I'm going to share some more in the future if you don't mind.
All right. Yeah, that would be good. Um, you know, the only other tip that I myself would want to throw in, and I've mentioned it time and time again, but it does work, is, speaking of grocery shopping, um, but it could vary from store to store, I guess, from where you're at. But sometimes if you go to your grocery store, and you go like when they first open, or very early in the morning when you can get in there, a lot of the time meat, chicken, things like that that are about to expire that day or soon thereafter, um, they will take it and mark it down 3, $4, and they'll take money off, because they would rather sell it at a reduced cost than to throw it away. So if you can get in there and find, your cuts of meats, chicken, pork, whatever the case may be, on markdown, that would be to your benefit. And a lot of the time, I usually like to use it that day, or not long, after that, because, I think it does say on there, freeze by a certain date. But you do save a lot of money going that direction. You will save a few dollars if you're able to get your hands on some marked down or discounted meats in the meat section.
You know, Steve, I'm really glad you mentioned that point because a lot of people bypass those manager specials with the big old bright orange sticker on them. I mean, sometimes you just don't know about it. It doesn't appear on your flyer, you're not aware of it, and then you're there and you see it. And can I just mention this? People who live by themselves or a very small family of two, for example, do not be afraid of purchasing a family pack of meat. As far as I'm concerned, if that family pack of meat is on sale, I just hit the jackpot. All I have to do is go home, divide up the meat, and freeze it. Just because a person may be alone or just living with someone else doesn't mean that you shouldn't take advantage of the family packs of meat.
Mhm.
Absolutely not.
That's right. No, that's right. If you go in fact, not Aldi. Aldi is good, yes, but I have another store here called the store is called Save a Lot, and a lot of the time they like to run T-bone, which is okay, porterhouses. My favorite is a ribeye. I don't mind tenderloin. Tenderloin, people think it's expensive, but don't forget you can cut it down, which will yield you more fillets of steak. Therefore, it's not as expensive as it looks, because you get more out of it. But the family pack is definitely a good direction to go in. No, you do not have to have a family. You can be you and maybe one other person, and you get a quantity of 4 or 6 steaks in a package. Buy it. A lot of the time, you get it cheaper per pound. It's less money that you're paying out. Not always, but sometimes. It all
Right.
depends
Have
on,
to do the math. That's true.
yeah. So, you know, definitely consider buying your family packs, and if you can cut it down, make it thinner, you just yield it more. So that'll save you more money in the long run if you stop and think about it.
That's great. Great point about
Yeah.
doubling it practically by cutting it thinner.
Yeah, no, that helps a lot. That's that's what I used to do, or my dad used to do it with the tenderloins. Yeah, it's pricey meat, it can be, but if you think about, you get three in there, they're usually about 2.5 inches thick. You could probably get 3 or 4 fillets of steak out of each one of those. So now you've got 369. So now the price, even though it may be 30, 32, 35, $38, $40 meat, whatever the case may be, um, it's not $40 for 3 pieces now. Now it's $40 for 9 pieces. So the price changes. But
Exactly. You could cut yourself a discount.
that's right. All right. Well, Jan, this was a pretty good little lineup we spoke about, to give
Thanks
some
for having me here. I appreciate it.
absolutely. Like Jan said, there are going to be some more other grocery store tips, to come along. So be on the lookout for those. And, both Jan and I thank all of you guys for tuning in to listening and, you know, and we're not going to give out any tips that we think that are not going to work. These are tips that both she and I both know that do work that, we wanted to share, along with you guys. So
Good
if you
point,
don't know,
Steve. Good
right,
point. I know in my case also because I've done them.
right. So we know these work. We want to pass it along to you if you didn't know that or don't have any. But be on the lookout for us, myself, and both Jan and I will see you back here next time. We hope you have a great whatever time of day it is, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye.
Bye bye.